Hello and welcome to Robbie and James Talk Music, the podcast where Robbie and James talk music. We're your hosts, Robbie Maxted, a creative writing professor,
and James Wicks, a professor of media studies and film studies.
This week's episode is an on-rotation episode where we each share songs we've been listening to lately. Today we'll also be talking about what we've been producing in our respective fields of study over the 2025 summer.
Yeah, sometimes when we do the on rotation, it's what's happening right at the moment, but we're taking a look back to songs that were on rotation over this past summer, 2025.
Great. Do you want to kick us off, James?
Yeah, let's do it. We're going to start with Oxis and her song Long Sardine.
Man, I love this one, James. Such a great beat. It's one of those tracks where like every element feels individuated, but then also somehow together the whole track just feels perfect. We watched the music video together here, and sick music video too. Folks should check it out on YouTube. We'll link to it in the episode description. What made you select this one today?
Yeah, for sure. So as we were talking about preparing for this podcast, we were thinking about the projects that we were working on over the summer. And I was working on organizing a photography book. And I'm really excited to say that I have a contract with a company called Unpress. And we're going to be publishing a book of street photography from Taiwan. And also over the summer, I'm working on another short film that I shot in Taiwan as well. So I was doing editing work on that. And when I'm working on compositions of, visual compositions and editing, I love to listen to music that is primarily instrumental. And this song kind of is unique in that it has lyrics, but as you noticed in your, response to hearing the song today, that it just has all these layers that build. It's trippy, but you can kind of trace where each of the foundational tracks are coming from. So it was just a perfect backdrop and kind of encapsulation of the pleasure that I had working on the photo book and film editing this summer.
That's awesome. Can you tell listeners more about your photo book? I think it's such a cool project.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for asking about it. So yeah, when I was in Taiwan over my sabbatical about a year ago, I wanted to take a picture. I wanted to make a picture book about graffiti in Taiwan, and I'm really drawn to graffiti and the aesthetic, not necessarily in terms of work of vandalism or rebellion, but really beautification of urban spaces. And I love graffiti of all kinds. So I started taking pictures of graffiti, and then I started getting sidetracked by the fact that Taiwan row houses are often decorated by houseplants and plants that are used as decoration on the street. So I started taking pictures of both graffiti and these houseplants that decorate row houses along Taiwan streets and avenues. And then I just found myself more and more taking pictures of the houseplants instead. And so I started thinking that the plants are like graffiti, and that in their own kind of way, it's a beautification of urban spaces as well. So I ended up shooting an entire photo book, coffee table book length of street plants, and the title is that the plants themselves are graffiti, that plants are graffiti in Taiwan. And a publisher was interested in it. The first edition of the book won't be a complete coffee table style book. It'll be about 40 pages.
Cool.
Or so, but super fun project to work on. And again, thanks to artists like Oxis here who really inspire me, provide the background for these kind of projects. I feel in her song there's a sense of longing, but also beauty. And those are really important motivators for me when I'm creating my own art. And so I'm so grateful for a track like this that's really becomes the soundtrack of the summer, and then of just creative enterprise, and just a huge fan of her work and really excited to share it today.
Amazing. And when is the book coming out?
So it should be early next year. So hopefully February or so. Cool. I'm working on sequencing right now and have some more details that'll be fun to share along the way.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Hey, thanks so much for asking about my summer and the projects and the song. How about you, Robbie? What do you have for us today?
Yeah, I have Lupe Fiasco's Homemade from his 2020 EP House. This track notably features Virgil Abloh talking about the concept of man-made things.
It's all metaphoric. Man has flaws. Man loves power. Everything is man-made. And what's more dangerous than that? But as I digress.
Robbie, this track is so you. It begins with a story and a question.
Mhm.
It has the nonfiction component to it, which is your writing style. It has narration, it has metaphor, it has maybe what we'd think of as a typical delivery, but then as soon as you think it starts to be normal, you start to realize that the voice is echoing and it has all these different kind of chambers and dimensions to it, which again reminds me of your work. I think really a strength that I admire in your essay writing is the way that you can take so many disparate stories and voices and bring them together into one cohesive, organic piece. So it's interesting, but maybe I'm overreading the connections between you and this track, but those are some initial thoughts that come to mind. Yeah, how does this song relate to you and to the work you produced this last summer?
Yeah, this summer I published an essay at X-Ray Magazine titled The View from Bethlehem, which is about the West Bank Wall, which was constructed in 2005. And pretty shortly after the graffiti artist, so it's perfect you brought up graffiti earlier, Banksy went to the West Bank and then installed a bunch of his artwork on the wall. And so my essay is looking at sort of the history of the wall's construction, which is this man-made thing that the state of Israel claims is to protect people in the state of Israel, but in actuality it's just enacting a bunch of difficulty and trauma on the people in the West Bank, making it really hard for them to travel to see family. There's almost no industry in the West Bank now as a result of the wall. So yeah, it's a really challenging essay that I've been working on for years and finally found a publisher for it. So I was really grateful to X-Ray Magazine.
It's a fantastic article, and I hope everyone who listens to this podcast checks it out. It's more than worth your time to do that. When you were selecting this song as representative of your summer playlist, is this something that you would listen to while you're working, or did you, when you came across this, is it functioning kind of as a parallel narrative and you see similarities between the quote-unquote man-made within the scale and scope of the song, as well as like the wall built in the West Bank?
Yeah, great question. The title of this track, Homemade, is also using the French word for man. So it's like man-made, homemade. There's like a double read there, which I think is really cool. And so I think it more connects to just the overall idea that's at the heart of my essay, which is that the issues that people are facing in the West Bank and in Israel are constructed by humans. They're something that if people just overlooked difference, they could get past. There would be peace in that region. But as a result of a nation state installing something that is an image of oppression and constructing that and maintaining it, because of that oppression, it just creates a cycle of violence. And so, yeah, I was thinking a lot about this track this summer as I was also working to put the finishing touches on that essay.
I know that your essay in general can lead a reader, and I certainly had this impression when I was reading your work, Robbie, that there's a sense of justice and injustice that you identify in your work. And I'm just wondering, stepping away from maybe the song specifically, but have you found protest music and music about injustice to be an influential part of your music selection in general?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think in many ways, yes, or social issues that are being addressed in music that I listen to. But often I think that music can come out of or be in response to a larger social issue, even if it's not directly writing about it. One of my favorite writers, W.G. Sebald, who I know I've brought up on the podcast before, wrote everything with the intention of trying to capture in some small sense the weight and scope of the Holocaust. But in his writing, in his novels, none of them are actually about the Holocaust. It's all this sort of absence that he's writing around trying to capture. And so I think that often music happens that way too. So I love to look at music and think through like, okay, this was created in a specific time. Like, what was going on at that time? Like, what was this in reaction to? And this one came out in 20, let me make sure I get my dates right. Yeah, 2020. So like pandemic, world is in an uproar, a lot of upheaval. And so I think this EP is like an interesting look at or critique of things from that time. It's really strange. Like the second track is about dinosaurs and how like this whole essentially like enormous amount of creatures are just gone. And I think that parallels the pandemic in some ways that are kind of grim and interesting to think about, like all the people who died as a result of that.
So this track obviously is a lot of storytelling, a lot of voiceover. Does the rest of the album move into more musical space?
Yeah, it does. More traditional in regard to what Lupe Fiasco is known for. This track is almost all just Virgil Abloh's vocals, his lecture, and then he comes back in at the end and talks about shoes and race in a really interesting track called Shoes. But yeah, I love this EP. It's real quirky, real weird. It came to be because Lupe Fiasco heard this guy named Kalen Ellis who'd created a beat, posted it to Twitter. Lupe Fiasco loved it, looped it, and then rapped over it. And then they collaborated on this and then brought in Virgil Abloh, who notably was he's an American fashion designer who at the time, 2020, was doing a menswear line for Louis Vuitton, and then passed away at the age of 41 in 2021 from cancer. So right before sort of tail end of his career, which is a crazy career, like just reading his Wikipedia page, like everything that he accomplished, wild.
That's so inspiring actually as well.
Yeah. You have anything else?
No, I think there's some ways in which this discussion will probably carry over in the future. I know that you have me thinking about the music that inspired me, like early on, like in high school, bands like U2 and Midnight Oil that I've talked about on the podcast before. But they were just so inspirational in terms of singing about important social issues, kind of teaching me about what the idea of the U.S., like what it was. And so music has been a really important inspiration for me in terms of social justice specifically.
Yeah.
And then you also have me reflecting on my own work in terms of the almost art for art's sake mode that I'm in right now.
Sure.
And it makes me want to make sure that I keep those material and political and economic issues at the forefront as well. So I'm glad that you remind us that in your work and that you bring a track today that keeps us grounded in that reality. And yet at the same time, it's so beautiful and expressive. And so it's really cool to hear that.
Cool. I'm excited about that idea of art for art's sake. Would love to talk with you about that on a future pod.
We'll do it. And for me, it's something that's really antithetical to my pedagogy and in general, my approach to analyzing art. And yet now when I'm trying to create my own work, I easily slip into that. So future discussions and inherent contradictions to unravel will be part of that as well.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, me too.
All right. Thanks for listening today, y'all.
Take care. Bye.